I added curare directly to the muscle. It seems to have caused a decrease in the maximum MAP amplitude, an increase in the synaptic delay, and an increase in the MAP threshold.
If I'm following what Mel and Jasmine have been explaining, I'm assuming something's going to happen with the acetylcholine receptors, right?
You're absolutely right, Ingmar. Curare is a reversible competitive inhibitor of nicotinic acetylcholine receptors. It occupies the same position on the receptor that acetylcholine normally does, but does not elicit a response from the receptor. Curare exposure can be treated with an acetylcholinesterase inhibitor, which increases the concentrations of acetylcholine by preventing breakdown by acetylcholinesterase. Curare does not block voltage-gated sodium or voltage-gated potassium conductance underlying the MAP. It only prevents the acetylcholine from eliciting an end-plate potential. If curare is present in the synaptic cleft, acetylcholine will have a hard time binding enough receptors to elicit a MAP, and it will also take longer to do so. Ultimately, this results in an increased synaptic delay, diminished maximum MAP amplitude, and increased MAP threshold.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, Carly. That was fascinating. I think we've got one more drug left. What drug are you using, Chloe?
Hi, Ingmar. The final drug we'll be talking about is succinylcholine. When I added succinylcholine directly to the muscle, an increase in the MAP threshold, a decrease in the maximum MAP amplitude, and an increase in the synaptic delay were all observed.
This seems to have some weird effect on the receptors again, but I'm not too sure what's going on this time.
Well, succinylcholine acts as a nicotinic acetylcholine receptor agonist that binds to the receptors on the NMJ. Succinylcholine is essentially two acetylcholine molecules bound together. This allows it to bind similarly to the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. However, once bound, succinylcholine keeps the receptor activated and thereby increases the end-plate potential. This causes a persistent depolarization, which generates a persistent inactivation of the sodium channels. Consequently, this NMJ can no longer fire an action potential. This phenomenon is called a depolarization blockade because a constant depolarization is triggered, but the ability to fire an action potential is blocked. The constant depolarization keeps sodium channels in their inactivated state, preventing the muscle from having a chance to depolarize again. This ultimately causes a decrease in the maximum MAP. An increase in the MAP threshold can be explained by a decrease in function of some NMJs in the muscle. With less NMJs functioning, a higher stimulus potential is needed to elicit a MAP. In order to generate the same compound response, it took more time for enough acetylcholine channels to be activated that weren't affected by succinylcholine, causing an increase in the synaptic delay.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Wild Adventures of BIPN 105. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed learning about the NMJ. Now, it's time for me to slap one of those frog legs on the barbie. A little garlic, a splash of beer, outrageously delicious.
Created using Powtoon.